Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Ramadan, everyone. I hope that everyone are in a good condition. It is not time for you to breaking fast yet. So today we are going to enter a new chapter. As you can see, that my pin is not in the center. Okay, there you go. All right, so I'm sorry, off topic. Okay, today we are going to talk about the dynamic of small group communication. Well, I hope that everybody can understand this chapter because this is a very, um, I can say it's a simple chapter because it is something that Um, we used to do before this. Okay, before we have ODL, we have lots of group assignments. So you guys have already been familiar with small group communication. Okay, so what is on the news today? Okay, so we're going to go to this chapter. So at the end of this chapter, you should be able to define what is small group communication. You can determine the benefits and the drawbacks of small group communication. You will differentiate between a leader's designation in a small group communication. And then you can also provide example for the classified members' role in a small sports group communication. Discuss the stages of problem solving in small group communication and determine on how individuals should communicate successfully in small groups communication. Well, eventually, most of the notes are focusing on the small group communication generally, but you should be able to relate this with the sport settings because we are the sport science students and this is sport communication. So by giving you examples, I hope that you can explain and relate with the sport setting. Okay, let's begin. So, what is small group communication? According to BBN Masterson in 2011, small group communication is an interactions process within the groups of 3 to 20 individuals in achieving common goal. It can be either face-to-face or through mediated forms of communication. For example, right, what I'm doing right now, I'm having a mediated forms of communication because I'm using a video recording slides in order to send an information or messages to you. Okay, however, BBM Masterson defines small group communication is interactional process within 3 and 20 individuals. So you have to remember that is why it is called small group communication because it only have 3 to 20 people in that current group in order to achieve the same or the common goal. Okay, so this is the characteristics of a small group. Well, first, it can be categorized as internal or informal communications. Okay, this is because usually small group communication occurs informally. Informally means that it happens due to the common interest or common goals. So it is informal, and it happens internal. It's not between you and outsiders, but it's happened um, inside of the organizations or group. Okay, and then number two, there is no assigned leader, which means that in small group communication, we don't have any assigned leader. There is no leader to guide the group. Okay, it's not that there is no leader. There is a leader, but there is not there is no assigned leader, which means that we don't assign someone to become a leader. Okay, and then number three, due to the number two, because there is no assigned leader, number three, each members will influence or can be influenced for performing the task. Okay, because there is no leader, no one to guide you, So you can either influence people or you might be influenced in order to perform the task. Okay. And then number 4, exchanges of verbal and non-verbal messages in attempt to influence one another. Of course, as you can recall, the definitions of small group communication is an interactional process that happens between 3 and 20 person. It can be either face-to-face or through mediated form of communication. So that is why there is exchanges of verbal and non-verbal messages in order to influence other and in order to send the messages to other. So this is the benefits of small group communication. Small group communication, I can say that it is one of a efficient small group talk because you have a small group number of members. So when you explain or when you're talking, so the information will send directly, efficiently. However, there is also the what we call the drawbacks or the cons of it. So we will see that after this. So the first one is more likelihood can take place because it can happen anywhere because it is internal and informal, right? So it can happen anywhere. Number 2, we could anticipate more problems than unaccompanied individuals. We can handle more problems because, as you know, we have a small number of members, so it will be easier for us to anticipate more of the problems. And then the result, okay, for any discussion we can gain more support because we have a small number of members, so it will be easier to influence others. Okay, individuals' opinion may be partially influenced by self-interest because this is a small group, so you need to focus on the group interest. You'll not be focusing on your self-interest. That is why it says that individual's opinion may be partially influenced by self-interest. Other than that, we were influenced by the interest of the group. Okay, opportunities to discuss matters of various opinions in a controlled and comfortable environment. Because you have a small number of members, it will be easier for you to talk and to have a discussion in a comfortable environment. So that is the benefits of small group communication. When we talk about benefits of small group communications and relate it to sport setting, this happens during, when you have a team sports game. Okay, so when you have a discussion about the strategies on how to win the game, how to win the tournament, so it will be easier. Okay, it will be easier because you have a small numbers of members and you can influence. And definitely when we talk about this, the coach will influence the player to play accordingly towards what it should be in order to achieve the same goal, which is win the game. Okay, so this is the benefits of small group communications. And this is the drawbacks of small group communication, or we can say that the what we call the cons of having a small group communication. First, we have the possibility of developing a single frame of mind because, as you know, in a small group communication, we can influence others or we can be influenced. So when that kind of thing happens, it's such a developing a single frame of mind because we only have that one thing to achieve, one goal to achieve, so we have a single frame of mind. We have defensiveness. Defensiveness happens because we tend to believe that our ideas or our opinions is the best for the team or for the group, but the other people are having the same thought. So defensiveness will happen in small group communication. Ineffective leadership because there is no assigned leader. Of course, there will happen ineffective leadership because everyone can say what they want to say, and they are focusing on their ideas and opinions towards achieving the goals to make the team success. So The drawbacks is ineffective leadership. And then number 4 is the possibility of having ineffective group members, because you listen to the majority. So some of you might think, why should I speak up? Because I should just follow the group members, the other group members. So you'll have ineffective group members. So this is also happens in a game or in a tournament for team sports game. So as you can see, there's a person in that team that will only just listen to the instructions and do nothing, and won't be giving opinions because he or she thinks that their opinion is not important, so they just follow. So ineffective group members. So these are the things that the weaknesses of small group communications. Okay. Right, so there are types and functions of small group communication. Actually, there are two types of it, which is task-oriented and relational-oriented. For task-oriented, it was designed as resolutions in identifying conflict. So it costs and creates ideas because you're focusing on one task. This is by McKay, Davis, and Fanning, 1995. And then task-oriented group is mainly based on creation, discussions, and problem-solving tasks. And the final idea is a well thought out idea aiming on accomplished goals. So this type of small group communication is focusing on solving a task or solving a problem accordingly in order to achieve the goals. Okay, and then we have relational oriented, which designed to arouse interpersonal network attentively and assuming quality interactions among group members. The main aim is to establish relationship rather than operating a mission. Relational oriented is more focusing on developing a networking between people. So these types of small group communication are focusing on sharing the common interests, um, sharing same hobbies, mutual music genre. So this is what we call as relational oriented group. Okay, and then the role of leadership in small group communication. Okay, there is no assigned leader for small group communication. However, there will be someone who become a leader, or the one who have the role of leadership in that small group communication. So there are a few roles of it. First is designated or formal, which the leaders are officially accepted and approved by the group or larger organization inside or outside the group. They are not assigned, but he or she is approved to be a leader because maybe because of the majority support. Okay, and then emergent or informal. In this one, the leader gained the position through appointment with the group consulted when leadership is needed. There is no leader assigned, but when it comes to something that we need leadership, um, we just simply pick someone to become the leader. For example, you're doing a group assignment. Okay, you don't have a leader, but then someone stood up and said, okay, so these are the things that we need to do, blah blah blah. So you need to submit this to me for compilations and so forth and so on. So he or she had become emergent or informal leader. However, for designated or formal, for example, in a class of 16 people, a lecturer begins a lecture, and then she said that she wants to give notes to the class representative. Okay, and then she'll ask, who is the class representative? And then all of you together, you're appointing someone to become. So that is what we call as designated or formal, because he or she is approved by the group. Okay. After understanding about the leader role, now we're going to go for members role in a small group communication. Okay, number one, you have a group task role. Group task role means that this member helping the group to focus on achieving the goals. For example, the leader or the critical advisor or the people who run the group. Okay, so it's a very good role which helping the group to achieve the task, achieve the goal. Sorry. Okay, and then we have group building and maintenance role. Okay, this person help to sustain interpersonal relationship in maximizing the group function, which means that they help to resolve problem, they help to encourage all the members, they help to give motivations in order for the group members or for that group in achieving the goals. Okay, for example, that the encourager or the tension releaser. And then number 3, we have individual roles. Okay, this person destroy the group's efficiency and achievement. Why? Because they're not serious about being the group members, and they just love to play around. Okay, for example, a whiner or clown, they love to make silly jokes, they love to do it's okay to make jokes, but in the same time you do your part. That can be included in a group building and maintenance role, because sometimes you need to have sense of humor in making the team more stronger, and what we call the bonding within the team become closer. But individual roles means that they love to play around, they're not serious about their job, they don't do their job at all, but they keep on playing. So this is what we call as individual roles, because he or she is only focusing on themselves, they forgot about the group goals. Okay, all right, then we have general characteristic of group culture. Okay, group culture is the culture that developed by the groups. Okay, so they are built by several characteristics or attributes, which first depends on the vocabulary. Okay, vocabulary, what kind of vocabulary that they use. Practices, are they the fast working or the mediate or the slow working group? And then, for example, other than that, practices, okay, there are also group who love to do assignment um, at the early time, or they love to do it at the end of the semester. So practices is one of the characteristics of group culture. And then stories, what kind of the stories that you build in the group. Okay, what is your common or mutual sharings that you can share together. And then rituals, what kind of rituals that you both not you both I'm sorry, what kind of rituals that this group are performing. Okay, for example, like there are person who do, for Muslim, for example, we have tabligh. So this is a group that have a group culture focusing on rituals. Okay, rituals means that performing Islam guidance, Islam Sunnah practices or rituals, while for example the Hindus, they have their own rituals, so they have their own group culture. Okay, and then we have metaphors. Metaphors is actually your understanding towards something. Okay, your understanding towards something. So sharing understanding towards something, common understanding about something, is called metaphor. So where you can understand, and this kind of people have create a group culture. For example, in arts, people in arts love to use metaphors, so not everyone can understand the metaphor. So whenever these people are around, they have created a new group of cultures. And then number 6 is objects. So objects is also a general characteristic of group culture, because you can define or you can develop a group by creating through objects. Okay, For example, you know that the symbol or for each of the group, for example, what is that thing called? Sorry, that one eye thing. Ayo, I can't remember that one eye thing. What is that one eye thing? Aduh. Symbol objects adalah symbol, so it's a symbolic on doing something. I can't remember that thing. What is that thing called? I'm sorry, I can't recall right now. But I bet you guys know what is that thing, triangle thing with an eye in the middle of it. That is a symbol or objects that used to characterize a group culture. So this characteristic is a general characteristic of group culture which performing or used in developing a group culture. So I'm still bothered by not remembering what is that thing called. It's okay if we find this. Right, I've got it. It's Illuminati. Something with that symbol. So that defines a group culture. Okay, I got take times, yeah. I'm old already. Okay, guys. According to Borman and Borman 1988, so this is the stages of problem solving. So it begins with defining the problems. What are the problems actually? And then you analyze the problem. Is it a serious problem or it's just a moderate problem? So you need to analyze it, and then you generate a possible solutions. What are the solutions needed in order to solve this problem? And then you evaluate the solutions because you have generate lots of solutions, so you need to evaluate the solutions, and then you implement and assess the solution. After you have evaluate, you'll be selecting either 2 or 3 or maybe one of it. You implement it and you assess the solution. So this is the stages of problem solving. I bet that these stages had been run by all of you because all of us had been through or into a problem that we need to solve, right? So eventually you have go through all the stages. Okay. How should you communicate in small group? Okay, first, when people talk, you need to listen. Number 2, you need to create expressive statement. For example, that you're having a discussion, so you have to create an expressive statement by stating back the statement or the discussions that you have and then give out your opinion towards it. Okay, and then thinking and conversing, responding by approving and extending what they said. And then if the discussion drift, for example, okay, we have it's really normal actually because we are all human, right? So when we talk about something, sometimes we might be drift out from the particular points that we want to talk about. For example, we want to talk about PKPs. We want to talk about the limitations of time, going out at night. But when we talk and we discuss, there will be another examples happens. And then due to this Ramadan, we will come to talk about Bazaar Ramadan. So that means that you have drift out from the topic. So in the discussion, if that discussion drift out, you need to guide back the discussion and bring back your members into the track. Okay, and then you need to ask the non-active members on their views upon the issues that you've been discussed. If not, then you will not have the participations of all the members. Okay? Offering feedback, okay, give feedbacks towards whatever the discussion is. Mediating conflict, okay, we try to satisfy everyone, although we can't satisfy everyone, but we try our very best to satisfy at least the majority of the group members. Okay, and for whatever happens or for whatever reasons you have, you need to have appropriate reasons behind you on why are you doing that in order to satisfy people that you want to satisfy. Okay, so as a conclusion, in a sport setting, so the group members get the sense of belonging, okay, using a small group, because they have that kind of feelings that they belong into the group because they can share about their ideas, okay, and then they also can adopt more responsibilities in accomplish the goals of the group. And yes, it also helps the group to know their responsibilities in achieving the goals. Okay, um, due to leadership skills. Okay, even though there is no assigned leader for small group, but every single group needs a leader, because we need the people with the capabilities that can influence others in order to achieve something. So yes, that you do need to understand that. Okay, and then conflict happens in small group, and it is very important to benefit this scene or situation. Conflicts is not always bad. Sometimes conflicts can give you benefits, lots of benefits. It can give you tons of benefits. One of it is that you can have lots of arguments of ideas. So you have lots of ideas, you can gain lots of solutions for your problem. So conflicts is not always bad, it can be something that is very good. So you just need to appreciate every single thing that happens. So eventually, a small group communication is very important, especially for those who are having team sport performance. So yeah, you'll be using small group communication also when you're working. So you need to understand this. By understand the benefits and the drawbacks, you will be able to avoid problems that you doesn't want to occur during working, or maybe after this, in few semester onwards, you'll have a small group team, a small group communication. So you can use this to guide you in order to become an efficient group members or a group leader. So with that, guys, I think that is all for today. I hope that everyone understands this. We will see each other very, very soon, inshallah. I wish you guys all the best. Though it's still early, but I wish you selamat berbuka puasa. Don't forget to do your tarawih. This is the only holy month that we are able to do tarawih. Jangan tinggal solat. Okay. Kat mana pun you guys berada, please stay safe. Okay, just stay safe with your family. Know that your humble teacher here really loves you. I hope that everyone will get the chance to go back to their family, and just take care. Alright, I think that is all for today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.